to the meeting. I'm Dave Dixon, the Council's Corporate Engagement Manager. We've got some speakers this evening, and from you, hopefully there'll be some questions, feedback, and suggestions. So, if you can sign in to the meeting, if that's all right, via the chat, and then we've just got a written record of all the people that are there. It's much easier for us to do it that way. Now, we're going to be muted, obviously. Do introduce yourself if you are going to speak, or if you've got questions, so that people know where you are and where you're from, because sometimes we'll just get a first name and an unverified. And although Alison and I know most of the people in most of the forums, we don't necessarily know everybody. So if you could just identify yourself, that would be absolutely brilliant. So the theme of the forum this evening is children and young people. So we've got some local organisations provide services for young people, which hopefully you'll be finding of interest. And also we'll hear from you later with some of the challenges and opportunities for young people in your communities. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to have a little introduction here for Matt for 5 minutes, if that's all right for you, about the police and about, I'm conscious it's not necessarily completely your ward, but hopefully any information that you can share with the members of the forum, that would be brilliant.
All right, bear hang on. Can you hear me at the moment or not?
Yeah, no, brilliant.
Oh, that's right. I just gone to a different screen because obviously I've stood in tonight. The main thing we've been doing, obviously, that's very big on our beat area. And I know with the beat areas of the Charlie Sierra 225, which mostly on that list is mine, but obviously Peasdown is under that, and Poulton. And one of the best things we've got going is the mini police that's at Peasdown St John Primary School. So even though it's not technically for this part of this meeting as such in terms of that, but we've got lots of children going to that school from some of the other areas on that list as well. I'll just see if I can share with you what my PCSOs give me regarding the mini police and some of the things they do. Share screen. Hopefully this doesn't work. I don't know. Right, let's get rid of that. And then, hang on, got to find it again now. Here we are. Ooh, hang on. We got that? Has everyone got that?
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Oh, that's a miracle. I press it out. So this is the mini police. So I sometimes help out as well. The kids say it's the best year of their school life. They go out litter picking in the community, cleaning up areas, and they have great fun finding all sorts of things. Some things they don't want to find sometimes. We've had a visit from the police dog. It's a dog handler on one of the days. So that they were really excited there. So everyone gets involved. The head teachers involved as well. This is this year's mini police, and we've had the speed watch bike, the enforcement bike, come and visit them, because we do our own little community speed watch with the kids, which is a Duke of Cornwall Community Safety Award they've had. So you will see them in a minute, I think. Oh, they do first aid, so they get a visit from St John's Ambulance. So we do all that with them as well. So we've got quite a big program for them. See a bit of CPR. See what the next one is. Marking stuff for, obviously burglaries and with their little pens. This is their fire safety system they do. They make a plan of their house for fire escapes. How they could get out in a fire, and I think they get some smoke alarms sometimes as well, so it's quite good. There they are with their speed detection guns, usually up by the school at Peasdown St John. Delighted to catch some teachers or their parents to fill them with joy. Then they do a little spiel just to say about speeding in their village, so I pull them in and they have a little thing to say to them about speeding. They've had a visit to the fire station. Usually involving dressing up, I would imagine, by the looks of it. think the head teacher's getting swamped in something I noticed in a picture earlier. It's the head teacher here now. Of Peasdown, Ruth, Noel. They got on the, well, they won some National Crime Beats awards as well for their interaction. And they've been working with the American Museum as well, so they've really been very good to us. Basically, allowing the children to go over and obviously learn about history as well, which has been very good on their behalf, helping us. So that's obviously a lot of interaction that we've been having in the community with the young people. Obviously, Mentoring Plus, usually we make referrals to them, but we don't always hear a lot back how things have gone with them, to be honest, because it is a bit of a referral system, and a lot of it,
well, you might do later on, Matt. You might do later on.
A lot of it is controlled by Youth Justice. So
yeah,
we used to have some very good links with the youth club in Peasdown and some of the areas, but unfortunately, I think some of it has broken down a little bit as sort of our beat team, where I think the kids seem to get a little bit scared if we're about, so we're not seen as so welcome as we used to be for some reason. I don't know if that's just the culture of today's youth, see us as a bit of the enemy or what, but yeah, we are missing a little bit on that, I think, at the moment.
Okay, brilliant, Matt. What I know it's not directly your patch, but I just need to ask if there's anybody from the parishes or anything have got any particular issues or questions that you want to raise that Matt can take back and speak to the beat officers or the PCSOs. Fiona?
Yeah, that's lovely. That's really really heartening to see these kids, and I'm sure that will give them a really positive view on the police going forward. I was interested to know what you did with other schools in the area. I mean, obviously Peasdown St John. I'm interested to know why you picked that one rather than the others, but just thinking about some of the other schools within my ward, it sounds like a lovely thing to do. Is it because Peasdown there were some particular issues you wanted to focus on?
It's basically where it all started, really, with our area covering Peasdown School. There was some other schools, but unfortunately, I think just because of the drop in the numbers of the PCSOs, I think we've probably gone from 15 to about 5 or 6 at Rudstock. We just cannot provide that service to all the schools now, and there's been some cuts from above where they want us more out on the beats, unfortunately, and some people are part-time. We struggle to run them. We were running them sort of at Timsbury School and places like that as well, and Poulton Junior School, but I think it's just having the people on the ground to get out and do it. It is quite a commitment for the PCSOs to run, because they're originally, I think there was like a 15-week syllabus for them to follow, which I think they scaled down to about 8 now. So yeah, unfortunately, I think it's numbers. I don't know if schools can apply very well anymore to get us to go to it. It's quite a bit involved, really. But obviously, this was the main one. It's been good in the community. We've seen the benefits with the families involved, the children involved, and yeah, it's been a good thing.
Brilliant, thanks, Matt. I got Richard and then Hilary.
Sorry, Matt, I might have missed that at the start. I was slightly late in. What year group is that you working with, just as a matter of curiosity?
They're about 10 years old,
right,
generally.
Okay, so
near the end.
Year 5, probably.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of obverse of Fiona's question, which is, or the converse, whatever, which is, how do schools apply for that, for the scheme?
I'm not too sure. The PCSOs usually manage that side of the thing with the kids, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not too sure how it all started. Obviously, it got put out as a big national thing probably about 5 years ago, to get us into schools more, where we had a crime and consequences session, and we used to run through a booklet doing activities with them, obviously just to make them the basics of the law as they got towards this sort of 10 years old, so they had an understanding of things they could get in trouble with.
I think Alison's answered the question in the chat, by the way.
Yeah,
and, yeah. Is Crime and Consequences, is that Jane Austen or is it Tolstoy? I can't remember.
Brilliant. Thank you, Richard. Hilary.
Richard just asked the question, how do we apply? It's a shame with such a great initiative if, we can't get it into our local schools. The other thing is, AD Humphreys, who's one of your speed enforcement officers, who I think was in the picture, he comes and he does the speed check on the kids in the playground, how fast they can run and stuff. But I thought also it would be good. We've got our annual Bathavon Fair, Folly Fest, on the 4th of July. AD unfortunately can't make it. He's got a prior commitment. But it would be great. What I'd like to do is to see if we can get a squad car, a couple of PCs along, for a bit of the afternoon as such.
Yeah, where's that to?
It's Bath Ford.
Bath Ford. All right, I'll send them a message because I don't cover that one, so I
No,
will send them a message.
Obviously, I can go through Gary Williams, but I haven't seen him in our parish for about a year or so. So.
Oh right.
And he's not the best at answering his text messages. So if you can put in a bid for us, that'd be great.
It's called Folly Fest, is it?
Folly Fest, yeah.
Right, okay. I will send that back to them and say there's a village day coming up and they'd like to see the police there.
4th of July.
Yeah, I've got it.
Thanks a lot.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
Okay.
Matt.
Brilliant. Matt, thank you ever so much. If you've got other things to do, that's not a problem. But the next on the agenda is Helen from Mentoring Plus, who's going to talk to us about their work and the staff and the volunteers. So if you want to hang on for that, that's absolutely brilliant. But I appreciate you're operational at the moment, so you may need to go.
Yeah. Did anyone want any stats? Because I did get a few stats. If you want to, or I can send them over. Or...
Oh, if you can send them over, then Alison will circulate
I'll send
to
them to
everybody.
Alison, and then it just roughly see one of them. You look at, you think nothing's changed because I went. Have you made this up? Because it was like literally 2 between the 2 years. An extra 2 on something. Because I questioned the person that made it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll send them over to Alison, and then you can just
brilliant.
see. Only thing that I would say is obviously in those stats, because we're under the 225 beat, Peas Down and Portland are included. But the trouble is, most of the other villages are 225 beat. So I have got some for the other ones at Bathford and places like that, which is very, very low crime at all. What I've seen of it, to be honest, hardly anything happens by the looks of it.
That's why I never see the PCSO. Yeah.
Which is a good thing. Yeah, they're probably devoting their time elsewhere. But yeah, I'll leave Mentoring Plus to it, and I might have some questions.
Brilliant. Thanks, Matt. Helen, you're Mentoring Plus. You're the head of practice at Mentoring Plus. Work with the staff and the volunteers, and there will be an opportunity for people to ask questions. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Thanks, Matt. I'm sure we'll catch up about referrals to Mentoring Plus. I know we've had them before. I'm going to try and share my screen. I'm not very good at it, so I will attempt it. Here we go. It hopefully is working. There we go.
Yeah, perfect.
So, Mentoring Plus. There's our logo. Oh, it would work if I could do that. So basically, some of you may know us, others of you may not, but who are we? We are a community charity, and we have been working with young people across Bathnes for over 25 years. Our offices are based in Bath, just next to Morrison's on the London Road, and we've grown pretty hugely from that first start over 25 years ago, and we now work with young people from ages 5 to 25 across the whole of Bathnes. So we cover Bath, Keynsham, Chew Valley, Radstock, Midsummer Norton. We provide mentoring, as in the name, Mentoring Plus. So that's one-to-one mentoring for young people across 4 different practice areas. And the plus bit of Mentoring Plus is the additional parts that we provide for young people. So that's access to activities, to our youth clubs, and to other community events. And we work with approximately 180 young people each week through our different services. Along with our services, Bathnes are absolutely fantastic at seeking out early preventative support. So I want to say a big thank you to Bathnes, because they are incredibly proactive at supporting young people in the way that they work with us. One of our commission services is an early help preventative service, which, as anybody who knows who works in early help, has massive benefits to young people in helping with future aspirations and higher expectations. And our other commission service through Bathnes is commissioned specifically through education, and we work with young people who are experiencing difficulties with attendance or becoming disengaged with education. So again, another really excellent service to work with young people at a early stage. And as well as the work that we do with young people, we also train schools, businesses, other charities with mentor skills training. And a big part of the work that we do is the skills training that we provide to our mentors, because the vast majority of our work is mentoring provided by volunteers. A little bit on our vision and mission and values. These were developed in line with our young people about 6 years ago, just before lockdown. We looked at actually what is our purpose. So our vision is a world in which all young people feel safe, feel heard, and feel hopeful for their future. And we aim to do that by empowering and inspiring young lives to thrive with the help of our communities. Our values, we are very much focused on working generously, collaboratively, and creatively. And the main part of our work is advocating for young people's voices to be heard. We talk about challenging with compassion, and we're certainly not afraid to do that with a lot of the multi-agency work that we do, and communicating honestly and with clarity. And that's not only with the young people we work with, but with families, with schools, with other professionals. So I am head of practice, and what that means is I look after the 4 different practice areas at Mentoring Plus. The main practice area that most people know about when they think about Mentoring Plus are our volunteer mentoring services. And we have 2 parts to those volunteer mentoring services. The main one is the commission which we have with Bathnes for early help preventative work with young people aged 11 to 21, and then also from the age of 21 to 25 if they have a SEND diagnosis, so a diagnosis of special educational needs or disability. And those young people are matched with a volunteer mentor who they will meet generally once a week for up to 12 months. So it's a very long intervention. And that mentoring for that young person will happen outside of school. It will happen away from the home. So it's about gaining new community connections, about thinking about what are the best hopes for that young person, what do they want to gain from that year of mentoring. And for lots of people, lots of our young people, it's about building self-esteem, confidence, trying new activities, or building on activities they already love. So for the young lady in the corner there, she was obsessed with horses, and we were able to match her with a volunteer mentor who had links with a local stable. So getting out every single week, mucking out the horses, grooming, walking the horses, really had a big impact in raising her self-esteem and confidence. And for the mentoring pair in the left-hand corner there, who's playing a game, that lovely young man came to Bathnes as a refugee, and his mentoring was again based on building up community connections, feeling safe in and around Bath, finding new places to go, and enhancing his social and communication skills. They had an absolutely fantastic year of mentoring. So that is our commission service for those young people from ages 11 upwards up to 25. And our other volunteer mentoring service is for primary aged young people. And generally for primaries, we work with young people around the age of 7 to 11, but we can work with young people as early as 5 years old. As you can see with the llama picture, it's either a llama or an alpaca, I never remember which one, which is a reception age child who was referred by a school out in the Chew Valley area for primary mentoring. And primary mentoring follows the same basic route as our secondary volunteer mentoring, our commission, which is that they are matched up with a volunteer mentor to see them once a week, but only during term times. So they get an academic year of mentoring, and mentors pick them up from school, take them away from school to go and try some activities. And again, really great outcomes for those young people. And they are all matched with volunteers. So they need to be young people who can work with a volunteer, who are able to build up those relationships, have conversations. And the mentoring is very much based on the child or young person's interest. What is it that they want to do? So I'll talk a little bit about volunteering later on, but that is our longest running service. Our other my mouse doesn't want to work. Our other service is our professional mentoring service, which is a service which requires funding. Generally, this is funded through young people's education healthcare plans, so EHCPs, if they have a specific need that needs to be met through an EHCP, because it needs to be funded for a minimum period of 12 to 14 weeks. And those young people are again matched up with a mentor, but they're matched up with one of our professional mentors, our staff members, who have more experience and you could call it expertise in mentoring young people who are at a higher level of need than we can match with a volunteer mentor. So it can be considered an early help service, but for some young people, their needs are just slightly along the level of need from volunteer mentoring. So professional mentors do pretty much the same as volunteer mentors in that they pick up young people every week away from home, away from school, and go and do activities based on that young person's interests. And we have really great results in improvement in confidence, in self-esteem, in higher aspirations for their future, and for some of our young people in engagement with education, which for a lot of young people who are referred to us for professional mentoring, they are struggling to engage with education, and professional mentoring can be used as part of an alternative placement. As well as their specific placement for school. And our fourth service, which is our last service that is also commissioned by Baines. So again, Baines doing a really great job at supporting those young people, is our student and family support. It's called SAFS for short. And this is specifically commissioned through education, and it is supporting young people from year 1 up to year 11 who are either experiencing difficulties with their attendance, and we can support in finding out what those issues are with attendance, or for supporting young people who are struggling to maintain a placement in a mainstream school. So they may be moving a bit further along in the behaviour strategies for school, and school are worried about them becoming very disengaged. And I've realised all of these children here with the pictures for SAFs are all primary age, because lots of secondary age SAF students don't like having their picture taken. So SAFs works with young people over 16 weeks. They work with young people in school, and it's also, as in the name, the family support, supporting families with regular home visits and breaking down those barriers, which sometimes we find that the relationship between home and school may have been lost, And it's about building up that communication, finding out the reasons for disengagement, for any behaviour concerns or attendance concerns, and working with that young person and the family to look at how can we maintain a placement in mainstream school. SAFs only work with young people who are in mainstream schools. We can't work with young people who have EHCPs because that is a different pot of money. And our very last area is our participation groups. That's the plus bit of Mentoring Plus. So we have 2 really successful youth clubs which run from our youth club in Bath. We have our Thursday evening youth club, which is in the way you would normally think of a youth club. There's sport, there's music, there's art and craft activities, there's lots of food and games, there's playing on the Xbox. And we also have an art club which runs on a Wednesday evening, which is specifically a smaller, more inclusive club. It was developed for young people who don't really like clubs. And for those young people who come, it's a very calm, quiet, structured activity, whereas our Thursday evening youth club is a bit more loose and wild sometimes, in the way that youth clubs can be with young people just trying lots of different things. But those are open access. They're open to any young person who would like to attend. They don't need to have worked with Mentoring Plus. And they are from 11 to the age of 19. And as well as our youth club groups, we also run activities for our primary mentees, which you can see with the lovely young man holding a chicken when we went to Bath City Farm. And I also held a chicken. I didn't do that picture because the chicken pooed on me straight after the picture was taken. And so volunteering with Mentoring Plus, we need volunteers always, as you would imagine with any charity. We always need volunteers. And what we really try to do is to recruit volunteers from within the community, within Bathnes, because then people know that area really well. They can build up those connections, and it helps spread the word about Mentoring Plus. So our volunteer mentors work one-to-one with young people across the whole of Bathnes. You don't need any qualifications or experience. You don't even really need experience working with young people because we provide full training. Once a mentor is matched with a young person, they have a monthly budget available, so they don't need to spend any of their own money. And we also pay mileage for our mentors for when they're actually on their mentoring. Those mentors receive really great individual support with a practitioner, which includes monthly supervision, someone who's there to talk through any concerns, and the opportunity to meet up with other mentors really regularly at social events. So to share ideas about what you've been doing with mentees, to think about new things that could be tried. And I've just popped my details there in case anybody is interested in volunteering or wanted to find out any more about Mentoring Plus, and I will put those in the chat. I think that's pretty much everything from me.
Thank you, Helen. That's really lovely presentation. Has anybody got any questions for Helen?
No, all sounds great.
My goodness.
Fiona?
It's a weird question. Really pleased to hear that this is happening in Bath, but what happens in North East Somerset, or do you have any relationships with I know there are fewer and fewer youth clubs than there, and there's certainly less than there used to be, but how do you spread your expertise beyond the barriers of the boundaries of Bath?
Yeah, thanks, Fiona. It's a really good question. For some of our services, we do work across different counties. Generally, we work into Bristol and South Gloucestershire, and in some parts of North Somerset, but that's generally for professional mentoring. and other paid services. I know that Somerset has Young Somerset, I think they're called, but I'm not sure about their actual reach within North East Somerset. And one of the issues there is Somerset is a really massive county.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Helen, what I meant was North East Somerset. In other words, not Bath, but the rest of.
So
Chew Valley.
Keynsham, Chew Valley, Rads. Yes. So we work across all of the counties, all of the area of Bathnes. So we don't just work in Bath. We go to Keynsham, all of Chew Valley area, Radstock, Midsummer Norton, Poulton, High Littleton, Timsbury, Farnborough.
And do you run youth clubs there?
We don't run youth clubs in those locations, but there are other youth clubs run by Youth Connect, and also the YMCA runs some youth clubs. So I know the YMCA runs a youth club in Timsbury, and Youth Connect have a really good mobile youth club service that runs around a lot of the villages where they take their youth bus, I think it's called. It might not be called youth bus. And they have a really great youth club set up in both Radstock and Midsummer Norton.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Matt and then Hilary.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so it's open to all areas on Bathnes. So even people from Radstock and Peasdown could go out to Bath if they wanted a change of scenery.
Yeah.
What sort of referrals are you getting? Are they coming direct from the police or mainly through youth justice at the moment?
So for our volunteer mentoring service, we mostly get referrals from either secondary schools or from children's social care, but we accept referrals from any professional, as well as parents and young people themselves. And it's really interesting that you should say about youth justice, because I know when I first started working at Mentory Plus 8 years ago, we had really strong links with the Youth Justice Service and would take referrals directly from them. And I'm actually in conversation with them now about how we could do more of that LinkedIn working. But absolutely, we do accept referrals from the police. We also take referrals when we have capacity from the early help allocation panel. So if a referral has been made to children's social care, reporting a concern, and it hasn't reached the threshold for children's social care to support that family, it goes to the early help allocation panel, where they can look at other early help services who can work with them. And that's a place that we can also take referrals. But if you put your if you want to put your email in the chat, Matt, and I can just send you some information about how referrals work.
Okay. I don't know if Dave can remember. On the Wellbeing Hub, obviously, I use that a lot with my PCSOs for various referrals. Have we got a Mentoring Plus one on there? I can't recall.
Oh, yeah.
It is on there. There's so many on there now. I can't remember them all.
Do you mean Live Well Bathnes?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, not that one. It's a Wellbeing Hub for professionals.
Yeah, you're one of the part.
Where we get Bath Mind, Age UK, everyone basically.
I'd hope we are, but
I don't know.
I'm just being told by Sarah that Mentoring Plus aren't formal partners of the Wellbeing Hub at the present time, but it's we'll catch up with you, Helen, about the hub and tell you more about it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, put me in it there.
Just wanted to ask, Helen, thanks very much indeed. Great presentation. Your Wednesday and Thursday youth clubs, are they held at the Riverside?
Yes, they are, and they're term time only. So they're over the 39 weeks of the academic year, plus a couple of sessions in holidays, like a Christmas session and a couple of summer sessions. And yeah, if you need any more details, just send me an email. I'll pop that in the chat.
Right. Okay. Well, I might pop in when I go to Morrison's.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, the age range is 11 to 19, but we would accept most people if they want to come and have a chat.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And
I've
seen some of your little clips on LinkedIn about the individual mentors and the kids, and it's there's some very heartwarming stories there about.
Oh, that's great, Dave.
What impact people have as volunteers with some of the youngsters. Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Helen. That's really lovely. Item 4 on the agenda, everybody, is we are delighted to hear from Hannah Wilkins. Hannah, you're there. Yes. Special education needs and disability information, advice and support. That's a heck of a that's a heck of an ID badge.
On the phone. Yeah. Should I go ahead? I will try and share my screen. She says. How are you? Right, I'm hoping it's this one. It's not showing me what the picture's looking like. So let's.
Yeah, no, that's it. We've got it.
Brilliant. Okay. So yes, we are SENDIAS service. We support everybody. So you don't have need a diagnosis to access our service, even though we're focusing on special educational needs and disabilities. We really do sympathise with the fact that diagnoses are taking such a long time at the moment to get. So a little bit about us, what we offer. That's not even down. So we give information, advice and support to parents and young people. We do also accept referrals from professionals as well if they want to support any families wanting any information. We support young people from the age of 0 up to 25, so a whole range of ages, and they don't have to be in a form of education at that time either. We recognise that education is really tricky for some of our young people at the moment, so you don't have to be in placement. As a service, we are completely free. We are impartial. So the advice we're giving is not our opinions. We are impartial service. We're not on anybody's side. We are just getting legal, informed advice. I'm really sorry if you can hear anything. The cat is really meowing at the door. So if you can hear that, I do.
Yes, picking something up. Yeah, don't worry. Keep going.
That's all it is, Matt. I don't want to get in trouble. So yes, our information is completely legal advice. We are there to empower people to take their next steps in the kind of queries they have around special educational needs, and I will go into what that kind of scope looks like. But we are there to empower and support you make informed decisions on where you would like your SEN journey to go next. We support, so a little bit about what and how we support. We support people from very early stage. So you may, parent may be questioning, my child is struggling a little bit at school. We've identified some challenges, we're questioning SEN. And what we do as a service at that level, we would then discuss with the parent what is available to them and what conversations they could be having maybe with school. And we can support with that conversation. We have meeting support volunteers who can support at meetings, or if needed, we would go along and support with that meeting as well with that parent. We then can discuss at the next level. Is it that somebody, Helen earlier spoke about educational healthcare plans. If we've explored all levels of support available at school, is it that we need to be kind of thinking about an educational healthcare plan? We were kind of inform the parent what that includes, what that request for one of those plans looks like, what does that mean for the child? What does it kind of, how will it support, and what does each section of that education plan look like, and who's involved in that as well? There's times where schools may not be able to make that request for that educational plan, and that's absolutely fine. A parent can make that request, and we will support that parent making that full request as well. Once that request is put in, that request is sent to the local authority. There are occasions where the outcome of that request may be a refusal to assess. What's the next stage of assessing the child for that plan? We will, as a service, we can support parents at a mediation level, and we can help parents appeal that decision as well. There's lots of other things that we help with mediation and appeal, but this is just an example of one of them. So we will help prepare that parent understanding what that appeal process looks like, and we will help them all the way up to the tribunal level. Once a child has EHCP, there may be some.
Anna, can I just ask? Are you going across the slide deck, or because we're still on slide number 2?
Oh, I'll work my way through the questions on this slide. Is that okay? Sorry.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So once a child has an EHCP, there may be some areas that parents feel at the moment that's not quite suiting the child. It may be that there's a placement breakdown. There may be that the child at that moment in time requires further support. Or maybe that they are going to school up to a sixth form sort of level, and they need a bit of support with what the EHCP should include and how it should be written. Again, we can advise on all elements of that EHCP and what is available to them. Part of our service is signposting as well, so we'll make sure that everyone is kind of in the loop, and we, for example, Mentoring Plus, we're always referring signposting to you guys as well. So we do link in with lots of different services. You can contact us. So I'll move on to our contact. Oh, just to mention as well about the other kind of part of us support. We support children and young people who have been permanently excluded. Again, they do not have to have a diagnosis or any form of SEM. We also support admissions appeals as well. So again, that doesn't need to include special educational needs there. With ways to contact us, I've got a slide at the end, but the best way really for us to capture all the information and get in contact with you as quick as possible is through our referral form on our website. If you are a professional referring or supporting a parent, it's always best for you to support that parent so that we can have direct contact with that parent, and then we can get consent and at a later date include you in the conversation. So I move on then to bits that our young people offer. So I lead on the children and young people side of our service as well. So what I do there is help get the young person's views in that, and there's lots of decisions that are being made around them. Do they fully understand those decisions? Do they want their voice heard? Is there something that there's finding is working really well on a Monday, Tuesday, but something that's really difficult Wednesday, Thursday? Let's see how we can unpick that, and let's tell that provision that is tricky for them. So we make sure that they have the opportunity to be included in these decision makings and these meetings as well. We also have a little bit of a, well, I say little bit because it hasn't got running as successfully as we would like to at this moment in time. We have a participation group that takes place every term. We have recognised now that we need to be going out to where the young people are. And not expecting them to come to us. So after a few months of sitting by myself, we're now going out to them. We have had some groups, some sessions that have been really successful, where we have, I know later on in this meeting we're going to discuss travel, but we did a really successful project on travel for those SEM, and that was brilliant. We are going to be linking with schools, and we're going to be kind of saying, can we come to your school councils? And the discussions that we would like to be having is, you know, what is it that we can do as an authority to get your voice heard as someone with SEM? What is it that you would like to see more of? Is there something that you know, is you've seen another area that's working really well, but maybe that it's not available in Keynsham, for example. Is there something that our service could be doing better? So I think really we're very good at maybe talking to parents, but how can we be creating resources that are more young person friendly to help them understand the law and their rights as well? So that's a little bit about our participation group as well. So we have a newsletter. I'll put all the links to that for everyone to sign up to. It's really informative because we do lots of sessions for parents and professionals. And there's our contact details as well.
Brilliant.
So I will pop that in there.
That's brilliant.
Now I've got to work out how I stop sharing.
Have you put your can you put your just put those details in the chat, and that'd be quite useful because people pick it up. The sound is a bit crackly at times. I don't know if anybody else has been noticing that. It's just fading in and out a little bit. So, but we've got 90% of it, but just occasionally just the signal drops a little bit. Anybody got any questions for Hannah then about SENDIAS? It's specifically Bath and North East Somerset, or is it national, and then there's obviously just a local branch? How does it work?
So we cover Bath and North East Somerset. However, every local authority has a SENDIAS service. Right, brilliant. Okay. Yeah, and all the details. I'm just looking at the screen. Has anybody got any questions for Hannah? No. Hannah, thank you ever so much. Obviously, we'll circulate your details on the slide deck. So if people do get in contact with any of the participants tonight, they'll obviously know where to be able to send people because they'll have all those links anyway. But thank you very much for coming. Thank you. That's really interesting. Item 5, families first and best start in life, which is Bath and North East Somerset Council Children's Services. And I've seen Jean Kelly, I think, Director of Children's Services. I've also, I think, seen Phoebe, who's the Assistant Director. Yes, I have. Brilliant.
There's three of us here.
Phoebe.
Oh,
yes. There's somebody else. Have I missed somebody?
Yeah, there is. We've come in force this evening. Delighted to have been invited to the community forums this week to share some information about 2 major initiatives that are really directed by the DFE at the moment, that is happening across the country, but we wanted to share some headlines with you. I do have a slide pack, but first I'm just going to introduce. So I am Jean Kelly, Director of Children's Services and Education. I arrived in Bath and North East Somerset in August last year, so it's been a whirlwind of 6 months. And I'll ask Phoebe and Marcia to introduce themselves while I share some slides.
Hi, yes, Phoebe Holland, Interim Assistant Director, and I've been in Bath for a number of years in various roles, so really pleased to be here.
Thank you, and I'm Marcia Bigham. I'm a public health principal in the council and lead on children and young people's health improvement and best start in life as well. So yeah, thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you. So we're going to start with telling you something about the Best Start in Life and the Family Hubs initiative, and then we will go on to talk about the Family First Partnership Programme. We think that there's a link between them, so it's really helpful to talk about both together, but they have got very different plans attached to them as far as the DFE are concerned. So to chunk it down, Marcy is going to talk us through the Best Start in Life work, and then Phoebe and I will talk about the Families First programme of reforms. Then we'll put the slides down to be able to answer any questions that anybody might have about it. So Marcia, I'm going to hand over to you. I just need you to tell me next slide.
I will. I love doing that from a public health perspective. Pretend I'm Chris Whitty. Yeah, so just the early years, why are they so important? So just as a reminder to those on the call, actually the first 1001 days from conception to age 2 are particularly critical in terms of our sort of longer term outcomes and in terms of rapid brain development which occurs during this time. And so it's really key that The caregivers, so parents and carers and wider families, are supported to be able to parent their children, so around health, well-being, and for different educational opportunities as well. So it's really important that that first window, as soon as the child is conceived, that we are there to provide support, and that whole family support. So in recognition of this, as Jean has said, last year the government actually launched their Giving Every Child the Best Start in Life strategy, and it was part of their mission in terms of the giving every child the best start in life, but also there's a real key focus around this in terms of improving the good level of development, which is something that all local authorities are tasked with doing, in terms of ensuring that by the time when children start at reception, they are achieving a good level of development. And there's different things around numeracy, language, speech and communication. So that's a national target that's been set for 75% of all children to get that good level of development. And we've also been given local targets here in Baines as well. So there's 3 key areas for the Best Start in Life strategy. And one is probably the most important one. It's around that better support for families through Best Start family hubs. It's around having more accessible early education and childcare, just again recognising the importance for families and for those working with young children to be able to really appreciate the importance of their health, their physical health, emotional health, speech, language and communication, all of those things that can really help a child to be ready to start school and then thrive as they move forward. And then finally, it's around recognising that really key role that our early years and our schools have to play in supporting parents and carers and the children in their care. It's around us improving quality in the early years, including reception. So when we're talking about early years, we're very much talking about that reception year as well in schools. And we are starting, as I said, it's from conception. So we've been working with colleagues across maternity, health visiting, our children's centre services, speech and language therapists, and our SEND team as well. And we've been fortunate in Baines. We've had a Best Start in Life group for many years now as part of our wider kind of early help offer. And so when this strategy was announced last year, we were already in a very good place locally to be able to work through the feedback we've had from families previously and about what the data is telling us, what the evidence is. So I'm just sorry, Jim. Next slide, please. Go on to. So in terms of that Best Start, better support for families, what we have to do is identify a dedicated Best Start family hub, and that needs to be in an area that's trusted to families, that's in an area of need and deprivation, so that we can really ensure that we get those services to those families. And we're fortunate in Baines, we have 3 children and family centres, so one in the centre of town, one in Soma Valley, and also one in Keynsham and Chew Valley, just up the road from where I am now. And we've identified a building. It was a former children's centre centre hub in Twerton area. So we are looking at that, and it will be as I've said, those challenges and those aims that we need to work through, we have to do that in a multi-agency way. So it will be really taking those services out to where those families are, and also that wider outreach to where parent and carers are going already. So you'll see here we want to develop and support community champions and navigators to really help that parental engagement to the support that's available, to identify needs early and access early help earlier. So that means going out to those other more informal community settings, those toddler groups, working with our Welcome Community Network, which also includes our churches, where some of those informal toddler groups are taking place, because we've heard from families themselves that when they want support, they're more likely to ask their friends, their family. So we really need to broaden out that support. We need to ensure that there's the resources, that there is a national Best Start in Life website, which is very informative with evidence-based resources, and it covers things like health and wellbeing in maternity, so how to feed my baby, oral health, and then it also has around how to access childcare. And that can be a real minefield with given the changes that seem to be occurring all the time. For a new parent, every new parent is potentially vulnerable because it's different. You know, you really need your peer support, and you need to know where to go when you need help. And we've also, in terms of the importance of that wider family network, it's really important that we increase our parenting offer to really include those fathers and partners and other caregivers within the family. Next slide, please, Jean. So once we have that support, and once families know where to go to get that help, they're then more likely to access the early education and childcare within their area. So you'll see some of our plans here for our plan include investing in a kind of transition program. So when a child is at nursery or in an earlier settings, that transition to primary school can be critical, and we really need to support that, particularly for those children that may have social, emotional, behavioural and communication needs that aren't eligible for other transition support funding that we have nationally and locally. We also want to develop and launch a trauma-informed toolkit for our early years, and this is based on the existing primary school and schools model that we have, so that colleagues are really aware about the impact of trauma and how to support children, young people and their families to be able to thrive within the early years and school. We'll be in recognition of the importance of that, we are looking to also, again, strengthen that transition between early years and primary schools via what we call sunshine circles, and really have that therapeutic approach to supporting children and young people. We want to, in terms of identifying those needs earlier, we're looking at enhancing the 2 to 2.5 year review, which is a development review which all children have from their health visitor. And if there's additional needs that have been identified, we really want to support and broker that support between health colleagues and our early year settings, and obviously to be supporting parent and carers as well. And finally, just because of the importance of the speech and language and communication within the early years, we'll be investing in our locally developed Language for Life programme, which is really good evidence of impact. It's already been piloted in some of our schools and available in the last 3 to 4 years, I think. And so we'll be really putting some more investment within that programme as part of this Best Start in Life plan. And I think I'm handing back now to Eugene. Sorry, it's really whistle stop, really.
So thank you, Marcia. So so there may be some questions to explore that a bit further. We are going to now move to talk about the Families First programme of reforms. So Phoebe and I are going to take you through just a few slides here to set out what this programme is. So as I said, this is a DFE initiative. It's central government based. The Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill will legislate for some of the things that we are about to talk about. That piece of legislation is still in the House of Lords. I think it's on its third reading, with a number of amendments being continued to be discussed. So we await it receiving royal assent. But the elements of that legislation that we've been asked to start to consider were issued as guidance, statutory guidance, back in March 2025, and all local authorities have been working to develop plans to think about some key areas of change. And we've been doing that with partners, with our own service, and with engagement with children, young people and families, because we want to get it right. This piece of legislation is being heralded as the biggest in a generation of social work and social care change. And it really does shift the approach that we will take to supporting families. So the whole work has been very much guided by the work that Josh McAllister undertook before he was minister in central government, as part of the independent review of social care that he undertook with all of us across the country back in 2022. But it also reflects some learning from some very high profile child deaths back in 2023 that National Panel reported on. So what you find is that the Family First reforms are a combination of supporting families much, much earlier, really providing early help and preventative work in order to avoid unnecessary escalation in terms of statutory services, but also to make sure that if children do require safeguarding and child protection services, that we've got really great decision-making processes in place. Now, we know that across the country, a whole number of can people see a pop-up on my page?
Yeah.
So that has appeared. I can't actually get rid of it. Apologies. Sorry about that. So we're also building on a whole number of local authorities received Pathfinder funding from central government. So throughout 2025, a number of authorities have been testing some of these changes. So we've really been learning from them as to what works and what doesn't work. So as I say, the vision for these changes is really thinking about how do we create a coordinated multi-agency system of support that offers the right help for children, young people and families at the right time. For a long time, multi-agency services have been very siloed, so lots of referral pathways, lots of handoffs to different agencies. And this is our opportunity to think about how we reduce some of that complexity for children, young people and families. So we're really trying to strengthen early intervention, reduce escalation, as I've said, and to really privilege family-led decision-making in our services. So we're looking to integrate early help, targeted early help, with our child in need support. And this will be through a range of family help teams. But that's only one of the changes. So I'm going to hand on to Phoebe now to talk about some of these changes in detail for a few minutes.
Okay, so the headlines in blue are the various elements of the Families First programme. So I will talk you through these. I appreciate if you don't work in a social care setting, there might be some complexities to understanding this fully. So I'm really happy to take questions if you need me to clarify any of this, and particularly where there's lots of acronyms. So the first element is looking at what the government's terming family help. So that is grouping together what has typically been the targeted early help offer, which is traditionally in most local authorities held separately in a separate service, to what's typically in the kind of social care services. So in social care, we have a group of children who we support under child in need, and then we also have children who we support under child protection and safeguarding arrangements. So the idea with family help and what we're being mandated to do is bring all of those elements together into one family help service, so that regardless of the level of need for the family, whether it's at that kind of lower level targeted early help or the higher end acute child protection, that they are supported by one service. And that means when a family comes into this service, they have one assessment, one plan, and that plan can follow them as their needs either escalate or decrease again. And in that family help service, they will have the family will be allocated a family help lead practitioner, FHLP, which is a bit of a mouthful. And the idea is that family help lead practitioner will build a really meaningful relationship with that family from the point of assessment, and it will be that person who then offers the intervention and the safeguarding arrangements until the family level of need has decreased to the point that they no longer need support from the family help system. The idea is that in all the elements that I'm about to talk about, there will be a multi-agency aspect. So I would say that's still a work in development as to exactly what the multi-agency part will look like, but certainly we are in very close communication with our police colleagues, our health colleagues, in particular as our core partners, as well as other organisations, to think about at what point in all of these systems they will have a particular role. So that moves us onto the second blue band, which is multi-agency child protection teams. So this is a bit that I guess this is an aspect of the reforms which is particularly innovative. It's something that no local authority has had until the point of these reforms. So the idea of the multi-agency child protection teams is that they are a team of very experienced social workers who have worked in statutory safeguarding for a number of years, and that the social workers are working alongside police, health and education colleagues at a minimum to offer expertise when a family's needs meet the or escalate to the point of child protection involvement. So the idea is that in the multi-agency child protection teams, there will be a role called a lead child protection practitioner, and we have made a local decision in Bath that they will not be case holding. So the lead child protection practitioners are offering practice expertise to support the work of the family help lead practitioners who are allocated to the family in the family help space. So the family help and the multi-agency child protection teams will sit alongside each other with separate line management, but very much knowing kind of the multi-agency child protection teams and the lead child protection practitioners in those teams will really know the children who are being supported in the family help space when those safeguarding concerns arise. So that the lead child protection practitioners can, for example, chair a strategy meeting, which is a multi-agency meeting looking at thresholds for a child protection investigation to start. And the lead child protection practitioners will also be the ones chairing our child protection conferences. So rather than having independent chairs doing that, it will be the lead child protection practitioners. So they will come on board and work really closely with our family help lead practitioners, so that the family help lead practitioners can maintain that really meaningful relationship with those families whilst safeguarding arrangements are in place. And the other element to the lead child protection practitioners is that they will be carrying out lots of quality assurance work across our system. So making sure that our approaches to child protection is consistent across the teams, really making sure that we understand the impact we are having for those families where we are involved at a child protection level. And they will also be looking at our response to risk outside the home. So children and young people who are experiencing exploitation concerns, our multi-agency child protection teams will have an eye on those children, really thinking about how we're working, how our services are set up, and making sure that we're having maximum impact for those young people. I'll move on to the third aspect, which is the family group decision-making aspect. So this is it's a bit of a clunky term, in my opinion, to describe something that actually should be fundamental to our practice already. So it's about strengthening practice here and really making sure that all local authorities are really holding ourselves to account in the way in which we are working with families. So this is looking at families as part of a wider network. So a child, for example, will have extended family members, aunts, uncles, grandparents. They will have neighbours. They will have members of the community who they know. They might have, they might be part of a faith group. So it's thinking about how we maximise their existing networks, who know that child, who have a day-to-day contact with the child, who will be able to provide really meaningful practical support to the parents, rather than plans for these children being entirely professionally led, which often they can be. So I guess there are two elements to the family group decision-making approach. And so one of those is a formal arrangement and process called a family group conference. So a family group conference is, we have an existing family group conference service. It's an accredited service and a very specific approach to bringing a family network together and helping them to make a plan for a child. Sorry, Jean's just messaging me saying I've got 3 minutes. I'm trying to speed up. And so we want to make sure that any family that would benefit from Family Group Conference is able to access that, and that will be internally in Children's Services. But alongside that, we are looking at how we can support all of our practitioners, so the whole way across the system in all teams, to be confident in working with our family networks at all points of our involvement. So anytime we're having a meeting about a child, thinking about who in that network we can bring into the meeting, when we're doing an assessment for family, making sure that we're really understanding who's in that network and thinking about how they will contribute to the plan for that child. So it's a two-pronged approach, that it should be inherent in all of our work with families, that we are using a family group decision-making approach, but with the additional strength of the Family Group Conference offer for any family that needs it. Do you want to move on to the next slide? And I will talk at speed. So what I won't do is talk to number 5 on this slide, which is Best Start in Life, because Marcia has already covered that in lots of detail. But I will talk about number 4. So the integrated front door. This is an aspect of the programme which we are really developing locally in Bathnes. It's not necessarily a mandated aspect from central government, but it's something that we see as a really good opportunity to make some changes to how our front door looks and feels for families. So at the moment there are various different front doors. So I think someone mentioned earlier the early help allocation panel, for example, that's separate to our social care front door. And we are working to align everything into one front door, so that when a family has needs that would kind of constitute that targeted early help level, that they come to one place, and that front door is comprised of social care staff, police, health, so that we share information about families really effectively at that front door. We understand the needs of those families, and we make sure that we can either offer an assessment in the family help space, or that we can signpost them to other relevant services. So for example, having really close links with our SEND colleagues if it's actually SEND support that a child needs, or signposting them to Children's Centre if their needs are more kind of universal needs. So that is a whistle-stop tour of some quite big, chunky and complex arrangements. So really welcome any questions around those as we move into that.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Phoebe. Thank you, Marcia. Has anybody got any questions as regards to those 2 initiatives? There's a lot to take in there. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff going on. People can have an opportunity to feedback later on if they come back with anything else. I mean, obviously we've got all your contact details anyway, so we can always feed any other questions and things, because sometimes, like I said right at the very start of the meeting, lots of times people we put this on YouTube and lots of people watch it, and then all of a sudden stuff will come back. So if we do get anything back from anybody else, then we'll just feed that through to yourselves anyway.
Yes. We can also share with you the Families First email address, because it's a really good place to share feedback or thoughts, so that we can collate it all in one place. And yeah. I should have said that we're holding a number of sessions. So we've had one session so far, and we've got another one planned this month, and then monthly over the coming year, with a number of parents and carers to seek their feedback, have some really meaningful engagement and co-construction of what this looks like and feels like for families in Bathnes. So that work is happening to inform the planning for our Families First approach.
And if it's helpful for us to come back at any stage, we'd love to do that, if that's a helpful way to continue to take things forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So that we can hear views.
Yeah, brilliant. And I mean, obviously the slide deck will go as part of the papers that are circulated, and that will be available on our website, so people can identify it from there anyway. Smashing. Thank you ever so much, everybody. Last item on the agenda, which is a discussion on local transport issues for young people. Councillor Celia Ball from Dunkerton and Tunley Parish Council. I'm looking at my screen. There you are.
Hi.
Hello, Celia.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Lovely. Well, I just want to round off the evening. We've had all these wonderful talks about where families can go to get help, but we also need to think about how they can get there. And, you know, for families to be able to access Mentoring Plus, SENDIAS, these wonderful Best Start in Life hubs and the Families First partnerships, I, as a local parish councillor, want to just talk to you a little bit about public transport in the Cam Valley in particular. But I think this applies across the whole of rural Baines. Rural locations where there are poor public transport, we need to look at connecting communities to each other as well as to city centres. So a lot of the families that we're thinking about when we're looking at these services may be really reliant on cars, but also very reliant on public transport. It might be that families have several children and they're trying to get them to different locations, but they only have one car. It might be that families have one parent that's working and they need the car for transport to work, and the other parent is isolated at home with baby or a child. So we need to think about those needs, and we need to think as well, if there's a family with a child with specific health needs, they may have frequent appointments that they need to get to, and they need the car for that. And we need to think about older children and young people who want independence as well. So all these families need to be able to catch a bus, to meet friends, to go to school, to go to clubs, to get an evening or a weekend job. And we can't underestimate the importance of fostering independence and social inclusion. And public transport is a really massive springboard for many positives in a child or young person's life. So I just want us to start a conversation, really. Some children have access to really good public transport and can access many of these things, many of these services, if they live on a bus route, and other children have an inequality because they don't have this same access. It's wonderful that the Weckham Mayor is looking at initiatives for kids to go free on public transport, and that's great if you've got a bus to catch to where you need to go and a bus that you can use to get home afterwards. So I'm campaigning in the Cam Valley for more fit for purpose buses in rural Baines. We have a few buses that are running in the middle of the day, several hours between each service. We can't rely on them for our children and young people in my parish. And there is a local bus campaign, the Forgotten Valley Bus Campaign, who's trying to support families through Timsbury, Farnborough, Camerton, Tunley, High Littleton, that whole Cam Valley area. But I feel like we're not alone. I feel like this is a bigger situation around Baines as well. And I think we need to lobby Baines Council and WECA for better buses for rural communities so that our rural children and young people have access to the lovely services that we've been talking about this evening. And I don't really want to talk any further. I just want to start the conversation off. I understand that public transport is brought up a lot in this forum. And I think one of the reasons for that is because we haven't got to the bottom of the problem. And I would really like it if anybody has any ideas or any things they want to share about how we improve the situation for all our children and young people.
Thank you, Sheila.
And that's it.
Thank you. You're right. This is a topic that comes up an awful lot, and the area that you're covering and that you're representing is very depleted as regards public transport provision. I mean, we're currently in Peastown. I live in Peastown. I've got 5 different routes that go through the village, literally almost on a 10-minute basis from 6 o'clock in the morning. Fiona.
Thank you. So I nearly lost my network connection at a crucial moment. Celia, you are so right. You are so right. And you know that I know that. And I have spent today talking with WECO. I spent most of the day talking about buses, and we have a new petition with which I've also launched, which I should share around with various people. But we are WECO is the bus authority. WECO does have the money, and there is a cut of £6 million over the next 3 years for the whole of the area, including North Somerset. So it's really invidious that is the situation, but it is. We've been talking with WECO about ways that we can get around it, ways that we could improve the situation of the buses in the Cam Valley, because there's a hodgepodge which doesn't work, and the timetables are not fit for purpose, as you said. So I would encourage anybody to get in contact with me, because my title is Cabinet Project Lead for Sustainable Rural Transport, which is a bit of a mouthful. And we are asking ward councillors to let us know what tweaks there could be for their buses. There isn't the money at the moment to commission new buses, much as we would all love that. There is some money that WECO is putting aside for to improve the Westlink service, which isn't something that I particularly want, but I think it's what we're going to get, and I think it's going to end up with some more fixed routes in the mornings and evenings with a bit of flexibility in the middle, which might solve some of the problems for some of the rural areas. But there is it's a really difficult situation, and we've been up against a hard timeline, but there is some progress going on at the moment, and a lot of the buses that we thought the contracts were finishing in March and have been rolled forward to the summer, at least to cover the academic year, which is really important. And we are working quite closely with WECO to try and improve the network, which is not the situation that there was 3 years ago under the previous regime, if I put it like that. It is, the new WECO mayor is amenable for discussion, and so I hope that answers some of the questions, but please, for those people who are in parishes, particularly, do get in contact with me via Alison, and I can tell you what's happening and what services we're keeping. I think we're keeping most of them, and where there are reductions, what the rationalisations will be.
Yeah, thank you.
You're absolutely right about kids needing to get to school, people needing to get to work, people needing to get to healthcare, and that's absolutely crucial, and particularly for those communities where they're underserved at the moment.
And I think that a few buses in the middle of the day is really not of any benefit for children and young people in the region, and we all know that. But it would be wonderful if there could be a bit more cohesion around all our different services. We know that these children and young people will benefit from having access, and just being mindful that children who come from rural communities may struggle to access some of these services in the same way that a Peasdown child who has a regular bus route that they can easily catch. We're going to be missing a key demographic if we don't accept that there are these current issues. So
you're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right, and I applaud you and the other campaigners who have persisted in this, because it's really important that your voices are heard. And I would invite you to come and speak to WECO, and to come and speak to Baines Council as well, because I think it's really important that it's not just people like me banging on about buses, but it's also the parish councillors and residents.
Absolutely. I mean, interestingly, the all the consultation and engagement we do with all different demographics, all geographical areas, there are three things that always come up every single time, which is housing, cost of living, and transport. I mean, I sit on the student forums, and we get first group in to talk to the students at Bath University. Unbelievably, they have issues with buses in Bath because they stopped the double deckers. Literally, the capacity they couldn't get to the university. So it's an issue. Hilary, you got your hand up.
Yeah, just to say that I did invite First Bus to come to our last year's annual parishioners meeting.
Right.
They cancelled last minute.
Did they?
like the buses, yeah.
That is unusual because usually they came to the student forums. They weren't hugely happy because they thought they were going to get a really difficult crowd, but they actually ended up getting a huge amount of really valuable information about what their customers wanted and when they wanted it. And the students want buses at certain times, certain routes. And I mean, ridiculously, at the moment, I think the bus doesn't go through Oldfield Park. The students literally have to go onto the Lower Bristol Road, queue up for miles and miles in the morning to get on the buses to go. I mean, it's just nonsense. Fiona?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, for those who don't know, one of the biggest issues we have is the fact that we have a commercial-led model. So that First and Stagecoach in other areas, but First mostly in our areas, can run what buses they want, and they're not obliged to really to run the buses that are socially valuable. Places like the Cam Valley and the Chew Valley come to that. So therefore, one of the other things that we're pushing for is for a better model. Franchising is this sort of shorthand for it, which is what happens in Manchester, because then there is an obligation to provide those buses. Baines Council is increasing its funding for supported buses, but it can't fill the £6 million gap that the government has left.
No, absolutely. I mean, what we can do, I mean, I think the best place to talk to that and to get WECA in, to get First in, is something like Parish Liaison, where we get all the parishes together, because it's very similar issues down in Chew Valley, again, where they're very isolated communities where they've got no access to bus services. And we've certainly, Alison, we've had WECA and First come to Parish Liaisons before, but some time ago, but it might well be worth just generating that agenda again. The next parish day. Sorry,
I was just thinking the timing. Yeah, it'd be really good to see what the timing is, because there has been this change. Normally, there's 2 changes a year, April and September, and because of the problem with not hearing about the funding from the government until just before Christmas, the April change has been pushed through to July. So it might be worth getting WECA and First in to describe what's happening, maybe towards when we're getting towards July, whatever the next parish liaison is, because by that point the decisions will have been made about some of the services and what's going to happen.
Because interestingly, going forward in the next 6-12 months or so, linked into all of that and provision of bus services in rural areas is going to be the local plan and the adoption of sites for additional housing. And of course, one of the big issues that all the parishes are raising is it's all very well building these houses, but if people literally can't access public transport to get to work,
well, I mean, places like Timsbury, I mean, there are 3 buses at the moment that were potentially going to stop in March. They have been rolled forward, but there's 25% extension. I mean, there's planning applications in for 25% in growth of the village. Which so it definitely needs a bus, and it needs buses to get there, because that's where the doctor's surgery and the shops and the school are.
Yeah, absolutely. Celia.
Yeah, sorry, my final point on Timsbury. Timsbury is an absolute case study.
Yeah.
It takes 15 minutes to get into the centre of Bath from Timsbury in a car, but it takes you 1 hour and 20 minutes on a bus. So who's going to do that with a small child who's maybe potty training or got extra needs? It's not going to happen.
No, it is. It's just that whole little area of Bath North of Somerset is almost like a desert almost. It's just remarkable how poorly served it is.
Yeah.
And it has a big impact on social isolation with older people, about access to services, access to things like Knopping Off or the RUH, or shopping or leisure activities in Bath. It becomes almost too difficult to do because the time frames are too big. Hannah.
We previously did something with the young people around the chapel of Baines. It was more about the accessibility for those with SEN and about their travel cards and stuff. But if you would like to get some young people's voices heard in this, then I would be, interested to work with you doing that as well.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I'm conscious of time, everybody, because I know we've slightly overrun, but I think it's important that we have some of this conversation just to map some of this out. So if Alison and I sort of take away this, I think we need to get a bigger collective voice with as many of the parish and town councils as we possibly can. I think we need to have a clearer idea of where potential housing development is going to take place in certain areas and have that grown-up conversation with the providers to say, if you're going to build 5,000 houses in this particular area, how are you going to service the transport needs of those people in a sustainable way? So if we look at trying to fit that in around some of the parish liaison, Celia, does that sound like a good idea to you?
It does. It sounds great. I'm happy to work with anybody as well. I've just put my email in the chat box, so just contact me if you're interested in getting involved. Thank you, Hannah.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Just future meeting dates. Obviously, everything will be up on the YouTube channel. So if there's something that you've missed and you want to go back and have a look at it again, please do by going on the council's website. We are keen to hear from you about what you want to discuss at future meetings, forum meetings. Some of that has come through already, and it's just a question about timing it so it creates maximum effect with all the other bits and pieces that are going on at the moment, because obviously the local plan is paramount in a lot of parish and town councils' minds at the moment for obvious reasons. Hilary.
No, I just thank you and all the speakers very much for a really, really interesting evening. Lots of information to digest, but lots of things to take away. One thing we're doing with the local parish magazine is focusing a lot on younger people as well, because so often we just concentrate on the main ratio of residents. So it's been really helpful. Thank you very much indeed.
No, that's okay. No, and thank you everybody for all your attendance tonight. Our next meeting is going to be in person because it's in June. It's in the summer. Hopefully it will be dry. Maybe the sun will be shining. Who knows? 22nd of June in person. It will be in the Bathavon North area. So Hilary will be somewhere around yourself, Barford. Maybe we'll go to Bath, the new village hall at Bath Eastern, or although we've been to Bathampton before, but it'll be somewhere in that area. And then 22nd of September is usually when we do our visits, and we go out and we take the group out and we go and visit different partner organisations to get a feel for what's going on. So those are the next two dates, and then 24th of November. But obviously you'll get information about parish liaison, and those will be carrying on, and usually they're over in Keynsham because obviously we get bigger numbers, and we'll take on board that stuff that you've suggested, Celia, about transport and with First, and let's try and get a bit of a conversation going with them and try and work out what on earth they're trying to do around a very changing demographic that we're going to see in the area for the next 5 years. Thank you ever so much, everybody. I really apologise if I went 15 minutes over, but I think it was important that everybody got a chance to hear quite a lot of information, and we'll see you in June.